Awesome. What's up, everyone? I hope you're loving this leadership online. I would love to see some doTERRA love in the comments before we get started. Let's bring the energy up. Sad that we have to be on Zoom, but we can make the most of it. So I am very excited to be chatting with you all a little bit today about expanding your market. And in particular, I'm going to be talking to you about mobilizing the next generation of doTERRA leaders. So I get a lot of questions from leaders all the time asking how to bring young people into doTERRA, and then more importantly, how to keep them here. So this will definitely be a really fun and timely conversation. You can go to the next slide. So first things first, who am I and why am I qualified to be talking to you about this? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Regan, and I hit Diamond at the age of 23. I was fresh out of undergrad, and I was working a pretty miserable corporate job in Manhattan. Some of you have heard my stories about having one earbud in listening to doTERRA trainers while also coding on Excel, sort of looking over my shoulder to make sure no one caught me doing doTERRA at work. But I really did see doTERRA and this business model as a way to have a flexible, purpose-driven vehicle to generate abundance and to really do well by doing good. So I worked my butt off, and I told myself that at a certain rank, I would be able to kiss that boring cubicle life goodbye and jump into doTERRA full time. And now I've been able to take that passion for health and wellness to a new audacious goal, and I'll be finishing up my master's degree at Harvard in May. That picture you see on the screen is me at the nutrition department at the public health school at Harvard. So next slide, please. The most important piece of this story, at least for this conversation, is that I built this business with a whole bunch of awesome people, but a lot of them were young, fired up, and mobilized young leaders. Now, next, you can click. Some of you might be thinking, that makes no freaking sense because you have certain experiences with young leaders. But I'm here today to see if I can change your mind by the end of this presentation about how important it is and how possible it is to work with young people in doTERRA. I'd also like to note that I founded or co-founded Gen O with Curtis Harding with this very mission in mind to help young builders build a doTERRA business. We have a whole online universe of trainings and community gatherings to connect young people together so that they can build belief, learn from each other, and rock their doTERRA businesses. Next slide. I only have a few minutes with you today, so I won't have time to dive into every single piece of advice or every single area of focus that I would have for young builders and people who want to bring on young builders. But I thought I'd highlight and talk through some of the major sticking points and start by correcting some misinformation or false beliefs that you might be holding on to about my generation. Then we're going to talk about how to present this business opportunity in a way that really lands for young people, really leading with impact and leading with community. Then we're going to talk about the infamous issue of network marketing and how we feel about this business model. And as a hint, you're really going to like this answer. And finally, I will just mention a few other strategic ways that to build with young people when it comes to financial constraints or network limitations, if we have time. But again, I'd love to talk offline and continue this conversation. So next slide, please. We are going to start. That's me and Curtis, and that was our first Gen O event live at Leadership 2019. We had 180 young people really, really fired up and mobilized in their business. So first things first, I want to bust some myths. Our generation gets a really bad reputation sometimes. Maybe we're too busy, we're too disinterested, or we're too distractible. But it's not that there's something inherently different about our goals and desires and work ethic. It's just that we're largely misunderstood, we're way more informed, and we're intolerant of systems that don't make sense to us and jobs that don't inspire us. Because we know there's more out there and we have access to more information in a millisecond than our grandparents could find in a year. So first of all, maybe you think we're too busy for doTERRA. I think we just know how to juggle all sorts of different projects, from our online master's degree to our new startup to our app-based dog walking business. We are multi-passionate, and we really embrace the gig economy. So it's not that we're too busy for doTERRA, it's that we need to learn how to make it work for us and integrate it into our schedules and what we're already up to. I've found it's most successful for young people when doTERRA becomes a part of what we're already excited about. And we don't pitch this to completely revamp and overhaul our lives with a new business model and a new business. We need help from our leaders and from our upline in how to be creative and streamlined and how to make doTERRA work within our system, not having to change our whole system to work with doTERRA. It's a way easier sell for us, and we're more likely to be successful when we're able to keep doing what we love and staying busy, whether that's travel or yoga or making avocado toast at our favorite cafe. Next thing you might think is that we're too, oh wait, stay on the other slide, sorry. That was misleading. The next thing you might think is that we might be uninterested. And we'll really get into this one in a second. But my bet is that if you're a young builder that you're pitching the business to is uninterested, it might be that you're not pitching it right. If you're able to lead with impact, you're going to be successful with talking to young people, because we really crave community and we crave being a part of something bigger than ourselves. And when doTERRA is communicated correctly, it can really click as that missing piece for us. Or maybe it really is generally not our gig, and that's okay too. But I believe that most people in my networks, in my generation, will absolutely love the health orientation, the sustainability, the humanitarian impact, and the ethical supply chains that doTERRA offers. Because that's what our generation, Gen Z, young millennials, that's what we're all about. So if you're able to make it trendy, make it relatable, make it soulful, and help us be visionaries, we can be very successful at this business. And finally, perhaps you think we're too distractible. People do give us a bad reputation for not being long-term committed. But let's be honest, this is not an age thing. It's a personality thing. A lot of these characteristics happen with your other builders too, regardless of generation. If we see a vision and we love the community and the product and we commit to a plan for success, young people are no different and no less likely to be successful. Admit it. You have leaders at every age that aren't capable or committed. It's not an us thing, it's a human thing. So you need to give us a break and help us get inspired and mobilized on a single-minded focus, and we'll be all in. In fact, young people can even be more excited and more mobilized if we really catch the vision. So in terms of keeping us excited and keeping us long-term committed, I think micro goals and celebrating milestones meaningfully can really be helpful. Now, next slide, Juan. Thanks. I really want to talk about how to pitch the business so it resonates with someone in their 20s or early 30s. It's a totally new pitch, it's a totally new message, but never doubt for a second that doTERRA is an incredible and exciting opportunity for young people. So the first thing we focus on is leading with impact. We all crave being a part of something bigger than ourselves, and that's just an integral part of doTERRA's value proposition. We want to put a dent in the universe, as Steve Jobs says. So my team would literally start our classes with a co-impact sourcing video to remind the group what this is really all about. We talk about all the hands that processed and grew the plants for this oil before ours were even touching it. And we talk about the ripple effect of positivity that doTERRA has across the supply chain, from the farmer growing the plants to the families using the products. And I'd say to people in my classes, even if you never buy an oil from me, I want you to at least walk away from this class knowing that doTERRA is an industry disrupting company of integrity. I'm not even kidding. I've had young girls join my team and turn into awesome leaders down the line, and they joined just for the Healing Hands Foundation matching opportunity because that really lit their soul on fire. That's what we're all about in this generation, voting with our dollar and knowing that our purchasing power is making a difference in the world. And even better, being able to work on that mission as part of our careers and generate abundance by doing so. The next thing we talk about is emphasizing flexibility. I kind of just talked about this, but I can probably speak for many entrepreneurial types in my generation. We are busy, and we get a bad rep for that. We get a reputation of being non-committal or lazy, but it's not that at all. It's just that we do have so many tools at our disposal, and we really know what's possible for us, and we're intolerant of those systems or projects that don't totally excite us. So for a lot of builders, the health and the humanitarian impact and the sustainability of doTERRA have us absolutely riveted. But a lot of us might not see being a network marketer or being a doTERRA leader as the end goal. A lot of us might see it as a vehicle to partner with, to generate abundance and fuel other passions through those finances and the freedom that doTERRA can offer. For me, that flexibility I have through building a doTERRA business at a young age has allowed me to pursue higher education without stress, without loans, and without having to get into a corporate job or join my industry and make an impact because I need to make money to make ends meet. I get to make an impact because I want to, and I get to ask not what do I have to do, but what do I get to do? How much more can I give? How much greater of an impact can I have on people and on the planet? And that freedom is something that young people crave, and we can do so much in the world and make such an impact if we have that freedom and flexibility. So really emphasizing that and asking them, what is it for you? What is it? The startup you want to angel fund? Is it the book you want to self-publish? The humanitarian cause you want to support? The yoga retreat center you want to build? What is it for you? And I can guarantee they're looking for that flexibility to pursue the projects that fuel them in the future, that makes them excited to get out of bed in the morning. And doTERRA can absolutely be that vehicle, but we've got to show that it can be flexible. We've got to allow them to work doTERRA into where they're already jamming. And remember that this is not our grandmother's MLM, folks. We don't need to build this business by having tea parties in our living room. Young people might want to be on Instagram. We might want to be building through our school networks. We might want to be using automated funnels. So let us explore and help us and encourage us along the way. And the last thing I would like to mention in terms of pitching the business in a way that resonates is really emphasizing community. This is true for every generation, especially during COVID, but I would say that young people, while we are so overconnected and overstimulated with technology, statistics show that we are also lonelier than ever. We are a lonely generation, especially, as I said, during COVID. We crave community and we crave being a part of something bigger than ourselves. So when you're pitching this business and you're pitching your team, absolutely highlight that. Make your team feel like coming home and be super intentional about the community vibes and the values that you curate in your community. And if the team feels like a family, we will stick around indefinitely. Okay, next thing I want to talk about, next slide, is our favorite objection, MLM. Oh my gosh. I have a lot to say about this. I have a very strong opinion about this. So first things first, affiliate marketing for our generation is second nature. I am very cautious not to give people something to worry about that they weren't even thinking about. You don't want to put an objection in their mind before they bring it up. So a lot of people, I feel, apologize for network marketing before it's even an issue. So for young people, I find that Instagram marketing and affiliate marketing it's everywhere. It's absolutely ubiquitous. When we're looking to buy anything from vegan protein powder to yoga leggings, we're asking around to see if any of our friends have a discount code, and we want our friends to get a kickback when we buy something. We're super accustomed to this. I don't think I've bought anything in the past year where I didn't have a friend who was an affiliate for that company, and I wanted my friends to benefit from sharing products that they love. So don't apologize for MLM, especially don't apologize for it before we've brought it up as a concern, because more likely than not, we've never even heard of it. We don't have the bad taste in our mouth from the horror stories of the 70s. We weren't alive to witness our cousin's cousin have $10,000 worth of makeup in boxes in the garage that they couldn't sell. That hasn't been our experience because network marketing in this generation hasn't looked like that. So don't give us something to worry about. Really, really continue to focus on doTERRA's impact and the brilliant freedom model, and don't put objections into our mind. Next thing, residual income is super, super strategic. Young people are already thinking about investing and creating and curating freedom lifestyles. And MLM as a business model and doTERRA very much fit into our generational aspirations. We're already looking for ways to generate passive income, residual income. We're looking to create royalties from making music online. We're investing in Bitcoin, whatever it is. A lot of us are craving that lifestyle, and we crave the entrepreneurial lifestyle. But what we don't know is how hard it is to create a startup and how likely it is to fail. So I call doTERRA entrepreneurship light. It's a super low barrier to entry, so it's low risk, but potentially very high reward. Plus, it's leveraged income. So if you can properly and effectively explain to young people just how powerful passive income and this type of business model is, you will have us hooked. We're already talking about this with our friends. We're already seeking something like this out. We just don't know about doTERRA yet. And finally, business in the old way is out for us. We see retirement as a completely dated concept, and we love the gig economy and entrepreneurship. Have you ever read the book 4 Hour Work Week? That is 100% our vibe. We want to work from airport gates, not cubicles. We're already working through apps, we're investing, we're selling courses online to try to generate passive income because we know that planning for the future is harder now in our generation than it ever has been. We're having a super difficult time establishing and generating generational wealth. And things like pensions and home ownerships and mortgages are harder for us to wrap our heads around. Help us cast a vision about a future that is against that status quo, which we call status no, and build a future we can get excited about and support our families for generations to come. Plus, I always like to say that this business is available to everyone. You don't need a specific degree, you don't need certifications or expensive qualifications. It's a company that's equitable, it's full of integrity and respect. And to be honest, that's something that's rather rare in today's job market. So, a lot of people graduate from undergrad or just graduate from high school and looking for a job. And in this day and age, we want a job that we can be proud of. We want to work for a company that's doing the right thing, and that's more and more difficult to find. So make sure you're super clear about this opportunity and what it means for them. Help them cast a vision, help them see how they can be successful, introduce them to other young leaders, maybe using Gen O, so that that can be social proof that this is super doable for them no matter what age they are. Even if the avatar and the demographic of doTERRA is a little bit older, maybe it's in the 40s and 50s, and maybe it's moms, and maybe it's people that already have a large network, that does not preclude young people from being successful. We're just going to be doing things a little bit differently. And especially show them healing hands videos, let them experience the heart of doTERRA, and I guarantee they will realize that this is a job unlike any other available. So next slide, please. Oh, next slide. Finally, I'm just going to touch on a few other things. I'm probably running out of time, but I wanted to touch on just a few other things, generation-specific concerns that we really jam about in our Gen O community. So first, we've talked about this quite a lot, but fitting doTERRA into packed schedules and really helping your builder be intentional with their time. Next, we talk about financial constraints and startup costs and how to be super strategic about using things like product of the month and their LRP order to be net positive so that the financial barriers aren't a limitation for them to start their business and start generating abundance through doTERRA. We also talk about how a $150 a month operating cost is pennies compared to the tens of thousands of dollars that it would take to develop your own app or found your own company. You're going to be talking to people that want to be an entrepreneur, and then they're going to say, oh, a couple $100 for a kit is too expensive. And you need to get real with them and say, okay, cool, if that's too expensive, then you're not going to be an entrepreneur, because if you're going to go do this kind of business and have this kind of lifestyle in any other way, you're going to be getting funding from angel investors and from VCs, and you're going to be tens of thousands of dollars in debt, not just 100 or so. So this is definitely a way to be an entrepreneur and have that lifestyle. And so casting that vision and putting that as a contrast can be really helpful in helping them understand the financial buy-in and the potential payoff. The next thing we talk about is potentially limited network size and how to use social media to get the word out, things like that. We talk about establishing credibility as a young professional, which can sometimes be hard and intimidating for younger people. So these are all things that I'd be happy to chat about more offline. I know I'm definitely going to be running into my time limit in just a few minutes. So I will end with this quote on the next slide. Juan, if you want to pop over. I will end with this quote. The job isn't to catch up to the status quo. The job is to invent the status quo. So I hope this was really helpful and informative. I know I just blasted through a ton of information, but hopefully you can rewatch this recording or contact me offline and we can chat more about it. But I'm really hoping that we have some changed minds in the room. I hope that there's someone on this call that that had some misconstrued beliefs about what it means to work with young people, and perhaps you can leave this call and be even more excited for bringing and onboarding young people onto your team and building a vision with young builders who are going to be mobilized and inspired and on fire for this business, for this impact, and for all that doTERRA is doing in the world. I'm definitely really excited to be working with young people. So I really just encourage you to share your knowledge and lift up this next upcoming generation. See us, support us as Leadership 2.0, and recognize that we're not going to catch up with what you're doing. We're going to do it our own way. So instead of trying to fit us into a small box, help us reinvent the status quo together. So thank you so much. You can find me online at OYL with me, stands for Own Your Life with Me. I'm on Instagram, on Facebook, everywhere you can find me online. And I would absolutely love to meet you and keep this conversation flowing. And I really, really hope that you enjoy the rest of your leadership experience.
Regan, thank you so much. You asked if you had changed people's minds, and I can honestly say that you have. The chat is blowing up. Thank you so much for all your knowledge. As I told you guys, like as I was working with her, she told me I know exactly the direction that I want to go. I have this amazing idea, and I think that I can speak for everyone in this session that I think that you hit the mark. A lot of things that you shared, that even I was the whole time here sitting with Jake at the corporate office, I was like, honestly, this is amazing. I can't wait to rewatch it, because I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. We told you that we didn't have tech support, that we were tech support. So obviously you can tell there's a couple of things that we need to make a little bit smoother, but we're trying. So obviously we're used to standing in front of hundreds of people doing all these events, but I have never done anything as nerve-wracking as switching slides for you guys. Like my finger is on that key the whole time, just waiting to the next slide. So I'm trying my best. So honestly, like, thank you guys so much for being so patient. I wanted to ask you, Regan. So Jake, if you wouldn't mind helping me, maybe unmute her a little bit. For your events, I know that you talked a little bit about this while we get ready for our next speaker. I know that obviously with the pandemic and everything, you guys have made some changes to it. But is this something that you guys are planning on still doing every single year? Like, what are your plans with that? I bet that other people here in this session would love to get their leaders plugged into that. So can you tell us just
I think you're just muted, but I can definitely, can you hear me okay? Okay, yeah, absolutely. So we did do our last event online. It was awesome. In a lot of ways, it was better than in person because a lot of people joined us that possibly couldn't have come to Salt Lake. But I did hear this morning that we're looking at having an in-person convention. So there will be a Geno event, no doubt. My co-founder is actually on this call. He just messaged me in the DMs. Curtis is here, and we'll be hosting we love to do in-person events. We'll do probably a little bit of training, a little bit of community building, and that's going to be something that's available to anyone. We tend to cater to the under 35 range, but we're not age exclusive necessarily. And then we also have online resources. We have a course that we've built. It's actually a course that is created through videos of all sorts of what we call millennial diamonds, so under 30-year-old diamonds and above. So there's a lot of rock star education there. And we also have community groups and Facebook, and we're getting back into doing more regular programming after COVID is kind of calming down and everything's getting a little bit back to whatever normal is going to be.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Regan. I know that obviously you're mentioning that you are essentially the content is for those people like within certain ages, but as everyone here could see, the content that you just shared, even though it's targeted towards, again, like certain people, it can be used across the board, across every single one's, like everybody's teams, right? So thank you so much again. Like, that was fantastic. I will for sure rewatch this session so that I can be focused more on the presentations than hitting the next slide button.